Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing some quick little love notes from your person. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Caribbean Calcite heart. Group 2 is the clear quartz heart. And group 3 is the Rhodochrosite heart. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Caribbean Calcite heart. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know from their higher self right now? Okay, and they say, I loved you in the dark shadows. So this person might be going through a very heavy and difficult time right now, thinking back a lot on the past between you, the past in their life in general, doing a lot of shadow work, a lot of things being really triggered from their subconscious and coming to the surface. There's an energy of regret with this card as well, thinking back on maybe how they took this connection for granted, took you for granted in the past, or a version of themselves that had really been presented during the connection with you, feeling that they weren't showing up as their best self. Some wounds that had been kind of unaddressed and that were sort of leaking into the connection, interfering in the connection. that even in kind of this dark period, this period of distortion within themselves, that it feels like they are in this process of sort of working through, of coming to terms with, and a recognition that in the good times and the bad, that their love for you has remained very constant. The love for you has been this guiding light, which has helped them to kind of process a lot of these shadows and these things which have been triggered. It's this motivation to face their own reflection, to really own up to how they have shown up in the past in this connection and in their life in general. A lot of self-forgiveness work that is really being brought to the surface or brought to their attention at this point in time. A lot of heaviness that they are dealing with. Again, this energy of kind of regret and loss, wishing that they could have done things differently, wishing that they had known then what they know now. And really, as they are kind of dealing with a lot of these things, maybe even unrelated to this connection, other areas of their life where they are experiencing stress or difficulties. They're facing a lot of these wounds and distortions within them that are coming in the reflection of others, other circumstances, other people that they are dealing with, that is really forcing that attention within. A lot of work that they've been avoiding in terms of shadow work. And in this process of kind of clearing that out, reconciling their own light and their own shadow. Through all of this, they are coming back to this truth, back to this core reality, that what they experienced with you is different. It's a different polarity of experience. It's a love which fills them with a sense of lightness. It's a love which allows, as opposed to a love which is very conditional or which seeks to, contain or even disrupt. And so as they're kind of sifting through these variations and these polarities in their own life, they're coming back to that core reality and that truth that what they have felt for you is very different from what they have known and experienced in terms of love and romance with others. And with that is some regret for having missed this, having missed something with you, having not really seen or been able to appreciate your light, what you had to offer them in the past in this connection, and a sense now in their present of feeling very much a yearning for that, a desire for that, a desire to move out of maybe a dark period of time where the two of you are not speaking. Connection is completely cut off. One or both of you may have blocked each other. There could have been some ghosting that went on here. And it's this urge to move back into sort of the warmth, kind of a lighter energy between the two of you. Thoughts that may even be happening about reaching out, creating some kind of communication, even bringing forth an apology if one is owed. And they also say, our hearts recognize each other at a soul level. So they're really starting to become acutely aware of this very otherworldly bond between the two of you, that even without words, you speak to each other from the soul, in the distance, in the separation, in the silence. They feel very close to you, and almost in their darkest hour, they find themselves reaching for your light, feeling very comforted by you. They may be having a lot of dreams about you, a lot of signs that are pointing to you. This feels like somebody who might just be at kind of that beginning stages of sort of unraveling the mystery of this deep soul connection between the two of you. Something that really sets you apart from everyone else that they have known. It sets you and this experience apart from other instances of love and romance and connection. There's a sense of timelessness to this, that even when they first met you, is this sense of deja vu, someone that they have known before, someone that they have known from another time, from another place, from another life. Although your face may have been a stranger, something about you on the soul level has always been so familiar to them. It's this comfort, it's this sense of almost safety, and this sureness that the light that you hold within you is something that they are starting to really uncover within themselves. You are really helping them to see and to recognize, and to capture and to bring forth into their conscious reality that light within, really helping and nurturing each other from afar. Work that needs to be done necessarily very individually at this time. This person is really starting to kind of recognize and really hopes that you recognize as well kind of the necessity of a break or a period of distance between the two of you. Again, a lot of this work that you are being called to do, that you are tasked to do at the soul level, at the consciousness level, at this point in your individual journeys, is not something that could be as effectively accomplished while in physical union with each other. It's bringing them to this understanding very slowly, but at a progressive pace, that even though you may be physically apart from one another, again, at the soul level, energetically, you are one. You are already in union. You are already deeply bonded with one another and always have been. And regardless of the outcome, regardless of if, reconciliation happens or you continue to just move your separate ways on this journey in this lifetime, that, there is this unbreakable bond between the both of you. You really help and kind of pivot off one another. You are there for each other in kind of the darkest hour, and they are recognizing that. Your light is something that they reach for. It helps them to bring themselves out of a shadowy kind of valley within themselves. And it also shines that light of recognition to something that exists within them that is not easy to accept. It's not easy to recognize. It may not have been anything that has been pointed out before. They've had a hard time believing that or recognizing that within themselves. The light they see within you also exists in them. And they also say, our love deserved a happy ending. So a lot of energy of nostalgia here and regret, thinking about the past and how they handled the situation with you, how they showed up in this connection, facing a lot of shadows and uncomfortable truths about themselves. That if a choice was made to move maybe in the direction of a third party, or to not invest, or to, kind of decline a love offer that you had made, to reject your cup of love, or to in some way kind of pull away or push you away at some point in the past, that there is this wishing again that they could go back and change things. Slowly coming into that understanding, though, that the best apology is changed action. This is someone who's starting to motivate themselves very slowly and through almost the guidance and support of the connection they feel to you at a soul level, to bring themselves out of this own valley within themselves, to own that shadow and to reach for that light, to seek to create a different story, a different narrative going forward. But it feels very difficult to kind of let go of that past, still simmering and kind of sitting in a lot of, again, that energy of regret, of hindsight, knowing your worth now that you are gone, recognizing the value of what they shared with you now that it is distant from them, either through, just the natural course of events, or through their own hand, through, actions that they took or actions that they did not take. And there's a wish here, there's a desire to, possibly even change the outcome between the two of you. They feel like somebody who's not necessarily at that point of recognizing a way forward. It doesn't seem like a very tangible reality to them that the circumstances can play out any differently than they already have. But it's a first kind of crucial step to that process of change by sort of reflecting, by taking a different viewpoint or digging a little bit deeper, more of an energy of introspection within, taking ownership for their role in what has happened. If they really blamed you or projected a lot upon you or were very avoidant in the past, this is someone who's starting to take responsibility, wishing that they had cherished you more and that they had really shown their deep appreciation for you when they had that opportunity. And they also say, there is something that I'm hiding from you. So this really ties into this idea of deep feelings that they still have for you, that they are not sharing, that they are not making known. This can be somebody who is also watching you from afar. Even if they have, completely cut off contact, ghosted you, blocked you, they feel to be kind of lurking on the peripheral of your life, observing you on social media, maybe asking mutual friends about you, looking back on old photos or conversations. They're still heavily thinking about you. They're still heavily invested in the heart space, in this connection, in this energy of sort of thinking back on the past, wishing they could do things differently, which may be very different from what they are projecting from the outside. If you're able to see them on social media, if they have a social media presence, or just what they're really portraying to people in their world, in their reality, is almost this unbothered exterior that they haven't thought twice about you. They've moved on from this connection. They're very unbothered by the situation. All of that is really a mask for, again, kind of this deep longing and loneliness that they have for you within. And they also say, I feel like I can be my true self around you. So this is that energy of the light that they see within you exists within them. You help to really bring out the best in this person, a side of this person that they may not be comfortable sharing with other people, that just comes out very naturally with you. There's a sense of vulnerability in this as well. which again, in this kind of energy of hindsight, it's something that they didn't necessarily appreciate about the dynamic between the two of you. It was something that they didn't really value in the past. They may have just been looking at the connection very kind of superficially or from a surface level, not really able to comprehend or again value sort of the spiritual component of this, how at the soul level, how at the emotional level, you feel like home to this person. And it's something where in the time since you two have kind of parted ways or gone into your period of separation or no contact, they feel very desolate without you. They feel almost like this energy of kind of wandering the world, wandering, from place to place, maybe even going through a series of relationships, dating people, kind of in and out of connections, and never really able to find or replicate that sense of comfort, of being seen and known and fully accepted for who they are, really encouraged and enticed to let that authenticity out, to bring that best version of self up out of where it has been in a place of dormancy or hiding within them. That you see this person and you genuinely, accept and value this person. You see the best in this person, which might be quite a contrast to what, at least at this time, they are really focusing on within themselves, which is kind of the worst in themselves, kind of all of their faults and all of their flaws, all of the things that, they haven't done right or that they wish that they could do better. And in some way, this is kind of it's the opposite of how they feel when they're with you, or how they remember feeling with you, which is very exhilarated, very capable. This feeling of that they are good enough just as they are. They are whole and complete just as they are. And it's something which is very unusual for them. They're very unaccustomed to that. The otherness of that may have really been something which triggered them to kind of push you away or to do things to sort of disrupt the harmony in this connection. Because again, this feeling of kind of peace and acceptance and comfort for who they are, exactly who they are at their core level. It's so far removed from almost this mask or this illusion that they are used to kind of living under. Fitting into a role that others expect of them, keeping parts of themselves hidden, only sort of showing a particular side of their face, a particular side of their personality. Somebody who may have a tendency toward people pleasing and just really sort of fitting in a role that they believe others expect of them or that is acceptable. Parts of themselves others have rejected that now they themselves have in turn rejected. But with you, all of that has kind of been washed away. With you, there was this sense of kind of reclaiming parts of themselves, maybe, who they were before a lot of these heartbreaks happened. There's a youthful energy to this as well, that you make this person feel very rejuvenated, very capable, as if the kind of the mountains and the valleys within themselves, these challenges and these things that they are so just ashamed and frustrated by, these seem and feel like not so impossible tasks. And yet when they are kind of remote from you or removed from you and they're sort of, left in the thick of all of that, it feels overwhelming to them. So again, they're very drawn to you, very drawn to your light. And they also say, I can't stand the thought of you with someone else. So this can tie into what they are hiding from you, that no matter how much time has passed, even if they have dated other people, if they're even in another relationship, they still feel very possessive of you, very jealous of you, not in a negative way, but just it feels to really tie into this idea of recognizing you at a soul level. They see you as this counterpart, as this extension of themselves, to where there's kind of this distance or this gap between expressing that, speaking this truth. In a lot of ways, they don't necessarily have right to lay claim to you at this point in time. There's nothing official between the two of you, or they've kind of moved away from this or sort of sabotaged or disrupted this connection. And yet at the same time, they still feel this deep and intimate closeness with you. They feel you as an extension of themselves, as an extension of their soul, and kind of this gap that exists between that truth, the core reality that, the answer comes down to you. What they are seeking in love, it is embodied within you. It exists in what is created energetically between the two of you when you are in each other's lives, when you are, exchanging, spending time together, talking, sharing intimate moments, all of that charge, that electricity, that feeling, that version of themselves that they step into very naturally when they are with you, that is not contrived. It is not something where, they're trying to consciously hide parts of themselves. It's just very naturally they step into this authenticity. And it's something which, again, there's this gap between that core truth, that reality, and what they are allowing themselves to sort of do or allow or be in their 3D reality. They may still be entertaining kind of low vibrational relationships, still holding on to kind of toxic patterns, some degree of avoidance or denial, pride and ego getting in the way to some level of them just, really letting down these walls around their heart, let it really opening up very vulnerably to express this truth, this reality that as much as they have searched, as much as they have tried to kind of find or replicate or mimic the love and the connection that the two of you shared, they come up short. It all comes back around to you. They also say, I'm lost without you. So this can tie in with that desolate feeling, that feeling of that you are a part of them, you are an extension of them, you are the answer that they have been seeking. And as much as they have been, kind of exploring other options in different ways, maybe just even standing in their, their kind of autonomy, just remaining single, keeping those options open, focusing on other things other than love and romance at this time. There's a part of themselves that they feel they've almost left behind in the past. And it may have been a struggle. They may have really kind of gravitated toward toxic patterns, different habits of kind of distraction or numbing out this feeling, this void that they feel within them, that they've moved away from this this kind of cornerstone, this truth, this core reality of who they are at the most authentic and pure and whole vibration that has been generated between the two of you. It's not that you're the answer to every question they have had in their life. It's something energetically between the two of you. It's an electricity that is produced between you while you are more a kind of dominant part of each other's reality. When the communication is open, when you two are interacting with each other, there's this charge, there's this velocity, something which still is kind of transferred between the both of you and exists in the separation and silence, but it's almost amplified when you two are in each other's presence. Closed doors seem to open. They feel a lot more excited, a lot more capable. Again, like the mountains and the valleys within them are not insurmountable challenges, but that these are things that can be overcome. They can be accepted. They can be adapted to. This person feels to be somebody who is sitting in a lot of energy of defeat. With you, they feel very capable. They feel that anything is possible. And it's a sense of almost just wandering like a compass that can't right itself. They're looking all around. They're looking outside of themselves. And the answer really lies within, that the core truth and the reality is that the two of you belong to each other at that soul level. And they also say, when I let you go, I really effed up. So again, that energy of nostalgia and regret, wishing they had made different decisions, that idea of wishing they knew then what they know now, and a little bit of melancholy with that, wishing they could turn back the hands of time and do things differently. Obviously aware that that is not possible, but not really sure at this point how to move forward from this, how to really clean up the past, how to really create a fresh start, a meaningful start with the two of you. And they also say, do you still love me? So a lot of uncertainty and hesitation that may be keeping them distant. This feels like somebody who wants to express, again, a deeper truth, with that idea of I'm hiding something from you, but they almost feel safer in the silence. Rejection at this point in time almost feels that it would be too much to bear for them. A lot of this guilt and shame may tie into how they handled this situation in the past, a fear that you may give them a taste of their own medicine, or to really put themselves out there, to knock on that door, to try to open up the lines of communication again, and start to rebuild maybe a friendship, or to express to you that they are interested in reconciliation in a romantic capacity. There is that fear of rejection. There's the risk that you've moved on, maybe that you are seeing somebody else, that your heart is closed to them, that you've opened it to somebody else. You're looking for new possibilities, and so almost the risk of that question being being answered in a way that they are not wanting. It is keeping them in this kind of shadowy energy, in this energy of kind of lurking on the sidelines, sort of watching from afar with this energy of kind of longing and nostalgia, wishing things were different, wishing they were standing beside you, enjoying this time of their life, enjoying this time of your life, the two of you together, just really moving forward. But recognizing that the distance that's been created between the two of you, it's deafening almost at this point in time. They didn't think that it would be this hard, but a lot has really shifted and changed within this person to where they're really, they're filled kind of with regret and missing that closeness and really longing for a change in this situation, but not really certain at this point how to accomplish that or if that's even possible. So I'm going to get some initials for you. This could be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. I've got E, F, Q, W, U, L, R, S, J, A, C, and K. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I now offer pre-recorded video readings, which are sent to you as a private YouTube link. Turnaround time on those is 3 to 5 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the clear quartz heart. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know from their higher self right now? Okay, and they say you have a good heart. It's pure and innocent. So they're seeing you in a very positive light at this point in time, really feeling you on an energetic level, thinking back on the good times that they have shared with you. Any kind of resistance to their feelings for you, any kind of denial about their feelings, any frustration or difficulties that you faced in the past, these seem to be melting. This almost feels like a block of ice that is slowly melting within this person. Their resistance, the walls that they have put up, it's giving away to a softening, moving back into kind of this reality that they keep returning to time and again, as much as they may try to kind of push it away, push you away, turn and look in the other direction, and they keep being brought back around to this feeling of recognition with you at a soul level, this feeling of closeness, missing your company, missing the time spent together, very quiet and mundane moments, a sense of I'm hearing there were no uncomfortable silences between us, and just this sense of familiarity that they feel with you, really desiring to kind of move back toward that, to recapture that, or to feed more into that vibration between the two of you, to reignite that in some way. And they also say, I was too broken to love you back. So they are acknowledging some wounds within them that they brought into the relationship, heartbreaks of the past, maybe things even stemming from their childhood, instances of being rejected, maybe rejected by a parental figure, love that was withdrawn or was very conditional, and that this has kind of lingered within this person. It has been this third-party energy, this wedge, this blockage, this barrier that is almost introduced into all kind of subsequent romances, that it was more than just you and this person in this connection. It was all this residual kind of unhealed wound within them as well, kind of the ghosts of the past being very present in the connection with you. It may have felt very crowded at times in this connection. Somebody who had kind of a weightedness to them, or a moodiness about them, a resistance to, just really sitting in these good times together. Somebody who may have, had a tendency to kind of emotionally withdraw, somebody who may have had tendencies of self-sabotage, really disrupting that harmony and that calm between the two of you. And they're thinking back on how you have really accepted this person very unconditionally, despite all of this kind of baggage or these things that are clogged within them, a very closed off heart chakra, that you've seen the best in this person. You've really accepted them for who they are, not trying to change them, but really, just owning and embracing that, the fullness of who they are, seeing that best potential, holding space for them to really kind of evolve and move past and let go of a lot of these difficulties, this baggage within themselves, which may be very different from what they're accustomed to. People that have really criticized or have really, kind of tried to point out their flaws, or, accuse them, again, of being very emotionally distant, unavailable in some way. And it's not that you were even necessarily settling for breadcrumbs or less than your worth, but it was just something where you're able to really recognize this aspect of this person, this heaviness within them, and rather than pushing or prying, just allowing them, just creating this very loving space that exudes very naturally from your energy, from your pure and your innocent heart, this vibration that you hold, that just created, even without words, this sense within them that it is safe to let that guard down. It's safe to move beyond that pain, to walk past that and step into a new type of experience in love, to create new memories to kind of outweigh all of the disappointments that they have known up to this point. And they also say, I can't escape this spiritual love. I tried and it didn't work. So that is that emotionally avoidant energy. This person may have tried to really kind of stuff down, ice out their feelings for you, distract themselves, maybe even entering into other connections, trying to just kind of surround themselves with people where the bond wasn't so intense. maybe things that kind of reinforce these wounds within them, fed into those wounds within them, rather than the space of allowing that you have created for them very unconsciously. Kind of this openness that it's okay to step beyond a version of themselves. It's okay to move into this light of love as a force of healing, as opposed to love as a, kind of a force of compromise or erosion, or at least what had been masquerading as love, what they had, kind of in a distorted manner come to know and appreciate as love. They may have moved back into those kind of toxic patterns within themselves in order to sort of avoid or evade this call to move beyond that, this call to step out of one particular skin, one particular sort of way of viewing love and connection, one particular way of viewing themselves in terms of, maybe this idea of brokenness about themselves, this idea of flaws within them. Maybe they didn't consider themselves to be a very good person, or really bad at relationships, really bad at commitment. All of this very negative self-talk that energetically you set an example for them of a different way of being. You see something else within them. You bring out a different side of this person very naturally. And it felt very uncomfortable because of its difference to them, so different from what they have been used to. And so they may have really pushed you away, tried to run from this very kind of overwhelming energetic force between the two of you, this kind of invitation to healing, this invitation to be well. That is something they've been craving within themselves. They are still craving it, but they didn't necessarily feel equipped or deserving of that. They also say, I act like I don't care when deep down I really do. So this is that energy of that icy exterior, trying to ice you out, trying to act very aloof, very unbothered, maybe entering into other connections, dating around, dating a lot of people, trying to overcompensate, posting a lot on social media about how great their life is, how happy they are, how wonderfully things are going. It feels like all of that is really a mask. It's a degree of overcompensating. It's a ruse to try and distract from this deep kind of heaviness that they hold within themselves. And despite what they are showing to you or really demonstrating in an outward sense, this is not an out of sight, out of mind situation. You still occupy a very special place within their heart, something they have tried to escape, something they've tried to deny or be very cold or, disregarding towards, but they keep being brought back around to it. Again, that idea of kind of a melting, the ice melting, and sort of that truth, that core reality is warming them from the inside out. It is really calling them home to themselves. And they also say, please don't move on. So this might be very contrary, kind of a confusing message compared to what they are showing you. If they are, dating other people, they're entertaining other people, they seem very uninterested, very unbothered. Inside, there is this pleading that is going on within them, almost like they're at the soul level, at the core level, and from the higher self. They're trying to fast track this person beyond the trappings of the ego, to really face these wounds within themselves, to release these things, to allow themselves to step into the light of healing that this love provides or has the potential to provide for this person. A sense of the connection between the two of you really being an elixir to the both of you, that this is the experience of love beyond all of kind of the excuses and the things that distract and kind of, disrupt that very pure and authentic connection between the two of you, that on kind of a soul level, that this love really nourishes the two of you. It's something which, has the potential to grow into something very beautiful. And this person is really being tasked with, again, kind of breaking out of some of these cycles within themselves, cycles of, avoiding some of this shadow work, cycles of trying to numb out some of these difficult feelings, to avoid the truth and reality of the healing, which is right there, waiting for them to accept it, the healing in the form of this love, rewriting the narrative, kind of outweighing these very negative experiences of love and connection that they have known, by creating memories that are very positive when associated with that love, romance, and connection. And so from the soul level and the higher self, they're really hoping that this person kind of gets with the program and, continues pushing past their own boundaries and barriers, that this sort of warming, this melting of that iciness and that fortress, those walls being brought down very subtly from the inside. There's a sense of urgency with that and of timing, the more they are kind of coming to this reality about who you are, and sort of the state that they have been in, that they were maybe clumsy with your heart because of some, aspect of themselves that felt very unworthy for the love that you had to give, that they're trying to kind of move into this place of acceptance of their own worthiness and their own innate wholeness and deservingness of healthy and reciprocal love. But there's, again, this sense of urgency because now they are recognizing and seeing your value, this purity, this innocence, this very, high vibrational love that you hold within and that you are. And there's this acknowledgement that, they may have kind of turned you away or turned their back on you, and they are seeing you as almost this this treasure, this very rare individual, this very rare soul. And it's this worry that if they're seeing this about you, certainly somebody else is going to see this. Somebody's going to come along and kind of take their place by your side where they feel that they ought to be, but it's a lot of like catching up to do. They have a lot of kind of work that they have deferred within themselves, a lot that they feel they need to kind of heal and release before they are in a place of readiness to really step back into your life, and be a positive force of change rather than to further complicate matters or just kind of repeat the same cycles with you. And they also say, I'm done playing games. So this can tie into, again, somebody who's in this process of kind of breaking these patterns and cycles within themselves. Maybe they are just at that first stage and step of that by recognizing these things, a tendency within them to, avoid deep emotional intimacy, that the spiritual aspects, the soul aspects of this connection, the intensity of it very, very much frighten them. The healing that this love had to offer and was an invitation, it is so different from what they are used to feeling within that they maybe just kind of leaned into this and were very kind of wishy-washy, almost a sense of leading you on to a certain extent, but it feels not necessarily from a malignant or, a malefic place, but more of just they didn't feel worthy or deserving of the intensity of love that you had to offer. And so very much magnetized to that, but then almost second guessing themselves, feeling that, they weren't strong enough, they weren't worthy, they were too broken to really, be a proper receptacle of this or to have anything of value really to give to you. And so as much as they are drawn toward this very healing energy, kind of dropping the ball and sort of stepping back into that comfort zone, that it's been a difficult process to identify and break out of these cycles within themselves and within their own life. But they are starting to acknowledge these things. They're getting very tired of, kind of these superficial, these very one-sided or surface level relationships. They are craving that intimacy. They're craving that purity and that very healing and uplifting vibration that you hold within you and that the two of you really tap into with one another. And they also say, I'm so annoyed, but I haven't figured out why. So this ties into, I feel, kind of their, at the core level and at their higher self, they're very annoyed with the 3D aspect of this person, that the signs are all pointing on an internal level, and even external signs that they may be getting, seeing your name a lot, things that are reminding them of you, that keep bringing that attention back to you, that all roads kind of lead to you and it leads to this connection. And that 3D self, that ego, keeps making up these excuses, kind of like tomorrow syndrome, where I'll do that work tomorrow, I'll start that new habit, I'll break this habit, I'll break out of this pattern tomorrow, I'm not ready to do it today, I have too much else going on. It's just a lot of excuses that are coming up. And it's adding to this sense of, again, annoyance because of this urgency, like the time for deferring these things, the time for kind of digging in one's heels, for playing these games, for repeating in these same cycles over and over. It has come to the point of exhaustion. There's nothing more to be accomplished from these karmic cycles or these patterns. And so, again, the higher self and at the soul level, at the core of who this person is, they're really being motivated from within. A lot of anxiety and annoyance, a pressure that they may be feeling. It feels like the universe and also this person's spirit guides, their passed on loved ones, their angels, everybody is really just putting the pressure on this person to get moving, turn that wheel, break out of some kind of a rut, look at kind of the bigger picture instead of looking at all of the, misshapen parts of themselves, the sharp edges, the things, the unanswered things, the resolutions that never came or the disappointments. It's urging this person to take that wider view, to look at the forest rather than the trees, and to recognize themselves as this beautiful mosaic of both light and shadow. This person is more than their worst day. They are more than their worst version of self. Whatever they were not capable of in terms of, or willing to do in terms of showing up in a loving and reciprocal manner in the past, there's always the opportunity to rewrite that story. So kind of all of these external forces and also this internal velocity within this person is really trying to push them to the next level, push them up that next rung of their ascension journey, to step closer to that core reality of the love that they are inside, which brings them into closer proximity to creating some meaningful change in this situation. But a lot of resistance, still kind of trying to hold on to some of those old coping mechanisms and cycles, trying to squeeze those last kind of drops of juice out of a, something that it's beyond its expiration date. It's beyond its utility. It's just not yielding the same kind of satisfaction or the same degree of results that it once might have. And they also say, the reason you've been thinking about me is because I've been thinking about you. So if you were wondering if you were on this person's mind, this can be a confirmation of that. You may be picking up a lot energetically from them, feeling them, maybe almost feeling your energy very drained or being very pulled on. And it's this, it's kind of this energy of, that this person at the soul level is very much wanting to kind of reach you at your frequency. And it's the 3D level that's holding everything back. And so it's almost, they're trying to pull themselves forward into this other version of self, into this other timeline, holding on to you like an anchor, like this is where I want to be from the core level, from the soul level. And this is where that kind of 3D and ego perspective is kind of staying stuck. And so they're trying to sort of like shift themselves forward. And it's this energy of really the heels being sort of dug into the ground, this person almost dragging themselves forward, really being sort of shoved through that opening or that aperture into this next version of self, shoved in the direction of that healing that they so long for and they so want. And so a lot of thoughts about what has happened in the past, what they would like to experience with you in the future. A lot of things that they keep maybe, getting to the point of reaching out and saying something only to kind of talk themselves back down, make these excuses, sort of fall back into these patterns within themselves. So you may almost be getting their energy kind of repeatedly throughout the day and at these very odd times, like they pop into your mind. You feel them very strongly, you sense their presence, and yet there's no movement in a 3D sense. At the soul level, they want to advance this. They want to kind of regenerate this connection, and that logical kind of ego self, that personality is still kind of in this energy of sort of trying to make up excuses. They've run out of excuses and they're operating on fumes at this point in time. They're just kind of spinning their wheels and not really getting anywhere in that sense. And they also say, did you give up on us? So this ties in with that idea of please don't move on. This may have been quite some time that has passed since the two of you went into maybe separation or no contact, since you two were last together, and a sense of not knowing what the future holds, if it's possible to even kind of repair this sense of urgency that something needs to be done quickly. Wheels need to be set in motion. Cycles need to be closed out. There's a lot of making up for lost time that this person has to do to really kind of get with the program in their own life, to kind of create some different results for themselves. A lot that maybe needs to fall away or needs to change within themselves. And there's this fear almost of, by the time they get their act together, by the time they kind of raise their vibration enough or put enough distance between themselves and some of these coping mechanisms or games that they are playing, even sort of mind games with themselves, these illusions that they are living under. There's a fear of, will you still be open to them? Will you have completely given up and moved on from this connection? And so it's an energy of panic that may also be kind of keeping them stuck in place, like frozen stiff almost, that they can't move in either direction. So they just keep circling the same track, the same worn out track that is very familiar to them. But there's definitely this huge energy of a push, something that wants to budge, something that wants to give. And it almost feels like a rubber band band that is being stretched very tightly, this person being stretched very thin. They can no longer continue on as they've been operating. They're pulled towards you, pulled toward this energy of momentum and change and lifting that vibration. And so this could possibly be somebody that, you experience this very quick, like snap back with this person. They come forward very suddenly to you, very unexpectedly, very impulsively towards you, perhaps before they have completed some of this work within themselves. But it's definitely an indication of pressure that's building and change that is on the horizon within this person and quite possibly in this situation. So I'm going to get some initials now, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got H, M, P, N, B, R, E, U, V, C, G, T, O, K, and D. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I now offer personalized video readings, pre-recorded video readings that are sent to you as a private YouTube link. Turnaround time on those is 3 to 5 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Group 3, you chose the Rhodochrosite heart. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know from their higher self right now? Okay, and they say, my heart is torn to pieces. So they could be going through some tower moments right now within themselves, some harsh realizations about the nature of what they walked away from when they walked away from you in this connection. There can also be some things that are really triggering some unresolved wounds and heartbreaks within themselves, things stemming from other disappointments in love, maybe from their early kind of experiences in love, young love gone sour, that had really kind of contorted or distorted the way that this person was able to give and receive love, that almost from the get-go in this connection with you, they already had maybe a certain expectation of disappointment. They didn't really give this connection a fair chance. They didn't give their best or their all to this connection. And when things started to fall apart, or when they themselves were the ones to really shake it up and to, really dismantle the connection, it just reinforced that sense within themselves of love that inevitably kind of is doomed to sort of end in a period of disillusion, or to really, decay and to kind of come apart at the seams. And something has really happened for this person where they have gained some kind of recognition or epiphany that they've really been standing in their own way. They have been almost their worst enemy when it comes to love and connections. Someone who may have really projected a lot of blame onto others, held a lot of bitterness or resentment toward partners in the past that sort of leaked into this connection. Right from the get-go with you, there was this element of a sourness that this person brought in, that they are really starting to recognize that, it definitely takes two people to kind of dismantle a connection. We sort of reverberate and kind of play off of one another. We are triggered by one another. There are reactions. There are responses. It's definitely, nothing is one-sided. As the saying goes, it takes two to tango. But this person is really starting to, perhaps for the first time, take ownership for what they have brought into this connection, the chaos maybe that they created, or that was really just kind of dwelling within them, kind of this defeatist mentality, or this expectation of loss, kind of an unconscious pushing in that direction, to where they weren't able to really see and appreciate the value and the nature of what they were experiencing with you, because they were constantly comparing it to what had gone awry in their life before. And it's a very difficult truth to really sit with, to understand that on a certain level, things unraveled by their own hand. And they also say, I can't escape this spiritual love. I tried, it didn't work. So they have been deeply affected by this connection, unlike people of the past where maybe they held on to bitterness and resentment, but they were able to move forward with their life. They were able to enter into subsequent connections, that bond at a soul level, at this very, this tugging level deep within their heart. It hasn't existed before in quite the same way that it does with you. This feels like a strong push-pull dynamic. They feel very pulled in your direction and yet deeply triggered and kind of recoiling. I don't think it goes as strong as like a love-hate dynamic, but there is something where, they're very upset by the fact that they can't get over you, that they keep being drawn back, they keep being pulled, even to face these harsh realities within themselves. These are uncomfortable truths that are not easy to digest. These are things that they've been avoiding for quite some time. There's an energy of change which is kind of permeating their life. You still affect them even from afar. This connection has activated something within them. And those kind of wheels of motion, that energy of ascension has not stopped. Even though they have, distanced themselves, they have kind of torn this connection apart. They've closed off to you. They've, maybe been very harsh in the words that were spoken in an effort to just kind of remove you from their life. Efforts that they've made to remove all traces of you, deleting photos, deleting text messages and emails, just trying to close off any reminders to you in the circumstance. They keep being brought back around. Nothing is working. There's no way to kind of avoid this. They may also be seeing your name a lot, signs and synchronicities and reminders, memories, songs that keep coming up, playing on the radio or coming through on an algorithm that are significant to you in this connection, that bring that focus back around. No matter where they look, they can't escape something that kind of triggers this, plunge deep into that heart space, deep into this kind of vault of memories that they have for you, both positive and negative. And they also say, the magnitude of your love shook me and caused a tower moment. So there we have that energy of the tower moment, something that was really awakened within this person, even a literal spiritual awakening that they have sort of been thrust into. They may have really resisted that, tried to, close themselves off, ignore the signs that they are getting, resistance to kind of doing this work, to peeling back the layers of self, or resistance to really looking within, taking ownership for their role and circumstances that they've created and experienced in their life. But the impact that this connection, it feels almost this jolt, this activation, something that's really been switched on within this person at a soul level. There's no turning that off. There's no unseeing this aspect of themselves. This reality, this experience of a depth and nature and intensity of connection that can exist between two people that is even so vibrant, it remains strong and continues to grow, even despite their efforts to really plug this up or sort of turn this off to look the other way. It keeps calling them back. It keeps pulling them back. The more they resist, the more things are really being shaken up, that their attention is being brought back to this reality in more and more extreme ways by the universe. You've changed this person profoundly at a soul level, and they're finding it very difficult to, fit very neatly back into that kind of box or that life that they had been living prior to meeting you and interacting with you. And we also have divine counterpart. So they are really resonating with you as this kind of perfect mirror for them. You are both everything that they desire to become and everything that they are so resistant and frightened of really recognizing and owning within themselves. You are their light and their shadow. You are the yin to this person's yang. And they are slowly coming to grips with that reality. They are slowly moving into this place of acceptance, that what they are running from, it is actually just a reflection of themselves. And we also have rose-colored glasses. So this can tie into, again, that idea of somebody who's trying to kind of shut this off, ignore this, seeing the signs and pretending that they don't see them, that they're not participating in this, that they decline this offer, they're not, interested in this spiritual work and the spiritual awakening. But it's the idea of illusion, rose-colored glasses. This is a force larger than this person's conscious ability of free choice, that there's something at a soul level which has been turned on within them. They are now in tune to a greater frequency of what is possible in terms of, the nature of existence. Portions of themselves, a level of introspection and perception, maybe even psychic gifts within this person that have been activated, aspects of them, of deep empathy, things that they can't shut off as much as they might try to ignore this and pretend that everything's okay, that everything will go away if they just close their eyes and bury their head in the sand for long enough, that these things keep happening. There's an evolution which is happening within this person. And it's beyond this connection. It's more than this connection. It's something which has affected them individually at the soul level. The time of growth and change and evolution is at hand for this person. And the more that they resist this, the louder that message comes. It's the idea of going from a whisper to a scream. And this person is, invited very gently. It's these very kind of lovely and sort of fluttery signs, butterflies and feathers. And when they ignore all of that, it becomes a lot more intense. It becomes these tower moments. It becomes the deep shadows that one doesn't want to recognize, reappearing again and again as kind of a revolving cast of characters, all bearing those same kind of marks and those same kind of core identities of the wounds within themselves that they are needing to face and to accept about themselves, to shine a light on, to take away the power of ignorance in which these aspects aspects of the shadow thrive, to incorporate that into the mosaic of who they are, to become that yin to their own yang, in order to step into that place of wholeness and authenticity, which then kind of sends out a beacon or a signal to kind of call that in many other ways, in the form of this connection, in the form of other friendships and experiences, things that resonate more at the vibration of who this person is rather than the illusion that they have been living under. And we also have toxicity. So that is tying into, again, those tower moments and those shadows that are really surfacing in perhaps a very ugly way for this person, in a very uncomfortable way, that they have up to this point really been ignoring kind of the gentle signs, and now things are getting a little more intense for them. Some toxic patterns, toxic belief systems about love, about, who they are as a person, how they've been showing up in connections. Lifestyle choices, friendships, relationships, even situations in their family, generational patterns that have been kind of carried on and participated in very unconsciously, kind of these cycles of wounding, maybe even betrayal and loss, that this person is just another link in this kind of generational chain. They are being activated to be that liberator of that bloodline, of that soul line, to be that change so that it is possible for others within their family, others who just, meet them and experience them at a vibrational level, that they hold something within them. It's this key to liberation. They must free themselves. They must save themselves first in order to be that living embodiment and example to others that change is possible, that the circumstances that have played out for us up to a certain point, or up to any point, circumstances we have been born into, kind of this lineage, these legacies, these kind of unconscious patterns and woundings that are carried forth, that are passed down generation to generation. These things can be changed. These things can be, broken free from. A new way forward can be fashioned. A new path can be forged. Kind of that road less traveled, the road of healing, the road of self-actualization and self-acceptance. All of this is what this person is really being tasked with. It's sort of this idea of one way or another, change is going to happen for this person. This toxicity they've been participating in, or they've just been allowing in their life for too long, it no longer fits the vibration that is growing within them. This part of themselves that has been activated, it's very difficult to fit back into those kind of toxic or one-sided connections, a certain life that they'd been living, a certain lifestyle, that at their core level, they know they want for something more. They are yearning for something more. They're reaching for something more. And yet there's this resistance to kind of let things fall away, let old cycles close out, a hesitation to kind of step into that liminal space, this void that needs to be created within their life. Nature abhors a vacuum. And so that space, that fallow field, that void that needs to be created within them, that emptiness, it's a very necessary stage that, again, they're very fearful of or avoiding, but which needs to happen in order for new experiences, higher vibrational experiences, different series of lessons and blessings to really be magnetized in for them. And they also say, I should have handled things differently, especially with you. So again, that idea of a recognition of some patterns within themselves, somebody who's starting to take responsibility for their role in circumstances in their life, in relationships, in this relationship specifically, but there's still a lot of resistance in that. It's somebody who's kind of hovering at that precipice of looking at these things, but almost kind of shrugging their shoulders and kind of, taking on this very smug kind of attitude of no use crying over spilled milk. It's a shoulda, coulda, woulda. And instead of, going from that kind of crossroads point, creating change in the form of changed action, it's like they're looking at it and still just cycling around the same way. Looking at it, shrugging the shoulders, continuing along the same path. They are being tasked to evolve in some manner, to alter their behavior slightly. And even acknowledging these things is that first kind of step in that alteration, but there's something more that they're being kind of pushed toward or driven toward, or this being kind of brought into their reality through these tower moments. It's going to take more than just looking at it and shrugging and continuing in the same sort of pattern. Change is required, action is required, determination, a new plan and a new strategy moving forward. And they say, I'm ready to be in a serious, committed relationship with you. So this is kind of that horizon that is now opened for this person. It is a motivation, a relationship, a whole relationship, a very balanced relationship with themselves, first and foremost, which is a crucial first step toward other relationships where reciprocity is the theme. That are equal give and take, friendships, relationships professionally, to improve relationships with their family where possible, and also, to improve the possibility and the potential of what can be sort of repaired or what can grow out of sort of the ashes of what has been between the two of you. That there is this readiness within this person to break out of these cycles. The more they look at it, the more they keep cycling back around to that point of recognition. It's getting very tired for them. It's getting very toxic. This worn out track that they no longer, resonate with. They no longer feel comfortable sort of moving around. There's action that needs to be taken. They have moved out of this energy of complete denial to at least taking that crucial first step of recognizing where they may have projected a lot of blame, that they hold some responsibility in what has taken place. A lot of this change, it's not everybody else. It needs to start within them first. And they also say, sometimes at night, I think about the times we've spent together. So they really are reminiscing on this, this soul tie, this spiritual bond that the two of you share. You're very entangled with each other at the soul level. As much as they have really tried to avoid you and avoid this connection, it almost feels that the work that you've been doing spiritually has kind of rippled out to this person. It has been an invitation. It has been these very gentle signs inviting them to get on this path of ascension, to kind of clean up their side of the street, to break free from any kind of generational, sort of chains that have bound them to a certain way of being, to break free from some of these narratives, these illusions with the rose-colored glasses that they've been living in, about themselves, about the world around them, about the nature of, self and of relationships and even people they may have been kind of pedestalizing, but it may have just been kind of a trauma bond. All of these kind of things that they are really being invited to look at and to recognize. And the more that they are resisting that sort of gentle and open invitation, and that you continue to do your spiritual work, you are pulling this person up to that next level because of that bond that the two of you share. It's creating these tower moments and the sense of urgency. Things are changing, period. This isn't a question. This is not an option. It's almost the idea of let go or be dragged. And so as much as they may try to kind of stay and dwell in what is familiar and known and comfortable, these winds of change are here. They're being forced to look at these things in perhaps a very ugly and harsh and extreme manner, because this work needs to be done. There is ascension that needs to take place. It's part of your soul's plans for this lifetime, that certain things would be activated within one another. A certain goal or a vibration was to be strived for and accomplished, or at least endeavored towards. You may be the one who has been consciously participating in this, doing your best, putting in that effort, facing those shadows, and this person has kind of deferred their end of that bargain or the contract. And so it's these thoughts about you, it's being really drawn back. They can't escape this spiritual connection. They can't escape what has been activated within them. They can't escape this new kind of view of themselves and of you and of the nature of existence and of love and the potential of all of that. This new perspective on their life and even people in their life. They can't kind of close their eyes to that. They can sort of distract themselves, kind of distort that a little bit, but the truth and the reality is very glaring. So again, the work that you do, it continues to sort of bring this person, bring them to that threshold. Change needs to happen. Change needs to happen. If they don't voluntarily do that, tower moments occur, and therefore change is created for them. And it's these thoughts, again, of kind of this knowledge, as difficult as things might be, as difficult as these shadows might be to face, there's almost this certainty, which might be very confusing for them, that on the other side of that is this kind of, this spark that they experienced with you. It's unity with that. It's urging them deeply within themselves to become that yin to their own yang, to light their own fire, to kind of feed that fire within themselves, feed that flame within themselves, so that they reach this vibration of wholeness within, acceptance of who they are just as they are, without need for outside validation, which is the vibration necessary to kind of call that in, to open the door in a very productive, protective, and positive manner toward, possible reconciliation with you in the future, and to also fulfill some aspect of the soul contract that the two of you really set out to accomplish in this lifetime. So I'm going to get some initials. This could be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got S, A, J, D, Y, K, V, Z, W, and U. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I now offer pre-recorded personalized video readings that are sent to you as a private YouTube link. Turnaround time on those is 3 to 5 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.